In this video, we'll talk about how to set up the report. So you'll see on here, on the right, there's a template that we're going to start working with. And on the left is the report that was prepared last year. Now, what was prepared last year could be very similar to what we need, but still there are important differences that need to be kept in mind. So let's go to the right side of the page. So first of all, the title page on the left, you'll see there is a logo. And so we can take that logo, Control C, Control V, and paste it here. Now, what's good practice is not just Control C, Control V, and paste it here, but also go online, look at the website, and make sure that company is using the same logo of the same type. So that's important. Now you have to understand what the project is being done for. In this particular case, the valuation is being done for 409A purposes. So we can get rid of this part below. Now you see there's funky names here, and those are the codes because there's a code that allows us to update this information from Excel. So we're not going to deal with that currently. Going to the next page. Next page, you see the header here. Again, if it's a repeat project, a lot of times the header is going to be the same. So we can go up here and again, Control C. Here we will do Control paste special and do the unformatted text, right? Because what you will notice is on the left-hand side, there's a Times New Roman font is being used, and here now we have a different font. So we'll leave it like this, and really don't have to do anything with it at this point in time. The only thing here, again, if we're doing the work that combines both 49A and 71A purpose of valuation, then we need to look at the footnote here and see there are kind of two options. One line here deals with just the tax purpose, and we're going to ignore that, and then we'll leave this footnote as is. Sometimes it's just for the 409A purpose and not for 718, and so in that case, we first of all have to remove the text from here, so this part needs to be removed, but we also would remove the related to footnote down below, right, but not for this particular project. Now let's keep going. What you will find is that the template has many different pages here, and if you're not sure, don't do this next step, but really you have to kind of figure out what the project is for. So for example, those letters, there are two different letters. Most of the projects, 490 projects, require this first letter. Then we can delete the second one. Now, going forward, there is an introduction, and there's like 5 different pages of introduction. So those are the choices. If we do the valuation for both 409A and 718 purpose, we use the first two. If we do just the 409A purpose, then we use the second two. And if we do the tax valuation, the simple tax valuation, then we just use, the last page just the last page. Although this is a little confusing because we're still going to need the 7, so we'll keep the 7 and 8 if it's just the valuation. But anyways, for this purpose, it's 498 and 718, so we'll go and we'll delete these 3. Now, economic overview. Most of the companies are going to be US based. However, every once in a while we value something that's not in the US, and then US industry is not going to be appropriate here. Now we have to see this is in red. In red, typically things are in the report that you need to pay attention to and potentially change. If this is indeed the US economic overview, then we change the font, and the font here will be this one. So you see how it's not black, it's like blackish font here. So this is what we do here. We do the same thing here. We use the same blackish font. Have to be very careful. There's no black font currently in the template anywhere. Now, economic overview, where does that come from? There is the whole depository of economic overviews here, and you can see them on the left-hand side in this folder. So the valuation date here is 12/31/2020, and so that's the fourth quarter. So we're going to open the fourth quarter, and it's very small here, so we'll open it. We don't need this. We don't need this explanation of formatting. There's only 2 pages. And the way this thing is formatted so that you can copy and paste it in there. So we ignore the top here, but we selected everything here again. And we're going to do Control C, go to this file, and then there's a second page here. Do the same, Control C. Economic overview is done, and we can close this file without saving anything or what have you. So we don't need the economic overview anymore, so we'll close it out and go back to this file, right? So now the industry overview. The industry overview will require a special discussion, but typically what we try to do is to just have a one-pager about the industry, very high level. We're not industry experts, and the true industry overview, should cost the client $10,000, not what we charge them for. But in the meanwhile, what you can do is you can actually, see in this overview, in overview done in the past, there were 2 pages of it, and so that's fine. But what you can do, kind of the starting point is, let's say, copy and paste here. Again, we want to make sure that we do copy and paste of the unformatted text. This page here, this chart here is helpful because a lot of times we really don't find a lot about the industry that we need, and so we just fill in this half, and then this other half can come from using this link where we just essentially get that chart, and we'll talk about this later in this report. Now go to the company overview. Again, let's go to the left. This was our company overview. So here the task will be interesting in the sense that we have to kind of format it. So because we've done this company last year, well, this actually is more than a year and a half ago. So those things do get outdated within a year. So what we do first, we just want to bring what we have in here. So we bring this, then we can bring management, in here, and financial history, and so that would be the task, and I'll leave it up to you to do that. Now, this, for example, this table is fine in the last report, but it has to be formatted in a different way. So here you see the formatting is different, the colors are different, the fonts are different, everything is different. So what we want to do, we want to use the format of this new report, and so all this stuff will have to be reformatted. I'm gonna bring it here, and again, I'm gonna let you work on converting this format onto this format. The simplest way to convert it is to just take the information from this table and copy and paste it into this table format. Again, you will also have to bring this information inside of this report. Or let's just do it. I'm going to bring it as, again, unformatted page special. See now how everything is bold. There's only 2 fonts that are being used in this report, and what you can find explanation of all those fonts at the very end of the page. So it tells you what each font is and how to deal with various parts of the report. The formatting here is very important. So leave it here. Like this is clearly not the right font. We need not, this is, you can see it here. So this is currently Seagover Black. We just need Seagover Historic. But then we'll also need and so the same thing is here. But we'll also need to format it. Now, once this is brought in, also what you have to do is, there's this little thing hanging in here, we may or may not need it. So what's important to do is also to go to the website and make sure that these names are all correct. So those people are still there. Sometimes they drop some people, sometimes they add more executive. Typically, we try to focus on not the management team. Management is everybody, you know, chief executive officers, all those VPs and such. We typically want executives, but it just depends how many people are there. We don't need to have a whole half a page here just listing people. It's a waste of space. But so that's that's another thing here. And then when we go to the second part of the report, this is more of the financial information. And so this part here, it typically gets updated when we sync the numbers from Excel. And that happens later, not at this stage in the game. Really what you have, other important part is going to be this gets synced, this gets synced. So we don't want to get rid of this. Especially when we're updating, you have to be careful about, you update certain things, but then you also don't get rid of the parts that are going to bring new information. And recent secondary transactions, those are very rare. You can leave it, but most of the time, it's not even the place where we discuss them. So you can actually delete it. Now, going back to this page, all we did so far is just brought information in here from the last report. So that gives us some basis. But what we now need to do is to go, there's two principal places to look for new information. So we have to update this, make sure that we're reflecting everything of the recent elk. And so for that, first of all, we'll have to go to the website and kind of read through this and see if the website is giving us any kind of new information. Typically, it's the type of products, the type of services the company offers and sells. And so sometimes they resort them, recalibrate. Maybe they'll have a new type of service that they'd like to add. Maybe they emphasizing something else. They were emphasizing software, now they're emphasizing services or something like that. In other words, even though there will be a lot of similarity between the reports, you still need to kind of critically look at this and potentially organize it in a different way and to bring more information. Again, the same thing as we discussed, the executive information that needs to be updated. And these sections, they typically get brought in. Don't work on those sections until the information was synced from Excel. So I will stop here.